It's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing orthodontist Lissa Johnson all the way from Spokane, Washington. He's a practicing orthodontist where he started a successful orthodontic practice from ground zero in 2006, just before the Great Recession. A native of the Midwest, he was born in Valley City, North Dakota, outside of Fargo, and he actually has not watched the movie. Unbelievable. That's the best movie ever. He attended the University of Washington School of Dentistry, graduating in the top 5% of his dental class. He is a member of the Dental Honor Society, Omicron Kappa Upsilon. Did I say it right?
You got it. Yeah, Omicron Kappa Upsilon.
Yeah, you can tell I wasn't in that distinguished honor. I can't even pronounce it, and they won't return my phone calls. After dental school, Dr. Johnson completed his orthodontic specialty training at the University of Michigan, where he received a Master's of Science degree prior to moving to Spokane to practice. Dr. Johnson is married to a practicing general dentist, Dr. Lissa Johnson. They have 2 terrific boys that enjoy sports of all kinds and being active outdoors. In his spare times, he enjoys reading, triathlon, and playing golf. And I called him. I wanted him to be on the show because he did something really, really interesting. He's got a website, refer to. It's very cute and catchy, refer to, where instead of asking your assistant to go get the referral pad to send this kid to a specialist, he's made it all digital on your iPhone, your computer. I mean, it's really cool. I wanted to ask you, refer.to, it's cute and catchy. Where does .to, is that the name of a country, or how does that work? Or they have different and suffixes, endings, or what?
My understanding is from Tonga, actually, is where that's registered.
Wow, how cool. So you went to GoDaddy and you got refer.to from Tonga, and you can host that in the United States even though the domain's from Tonga?
Exactly, yeah. And I got to tell you, it was the idea for refer.to obviously was mine. We've worked with some really smart, talented folks that have helped along the way, and so I can't necessarily take credit for that, but it's worked out well because it says a lot about what the app accomplishes.
Well, talk us through the journey. How did you, an orthodontist, your wife, a general dentist, what was going on in your life that made you put all this time and money and resources into refer.to?
Well,
tell my homies what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, refer.to, we exist as a company now to make life easier for dentists and the patients. And with that, what we do is make life simpler for dentists by securely helping them refer patients over any platform to not only professionals but also patients. And so that's, to get the patient in the loop has been a tremendously helpful thing, and it's done instantly. So refer.to is an innovative online referral platform that helps connect dentists, specialists, and patients. And where that came from, we've been using it now for the last 3 or 4 years with tremendous success. And when we first went to the developers, like I mentioned, because I'm not a programmer, but certainly the idea came from the office. They asked us, what are we doing this for? Are we doing it to make referrals more easily? Are we doing it for to get more referrals, or what's the idea here? And as you mentioned, the practice started from ground zero, but as we got busier, we needed to find ways to become more efficient and to make the processes more effective. And so for refer.to, my idea or inspiration behind it is we've got apps for everything now. We touch a button, as with your podcast, you touch a button, you expect things to go, right? And so my goal or intent was with that is to do it better than what we used to do. We used to do it through websites. We used to do it through triplicate referral pads, right? And typically, we would hope that we have the referral pad for the specialist that we're going to be working with, and we would ask one of our staff members to please go and get so-and-so's referral pad. Hopefully, we have it. We'd write it out. We'd hand mom a copy. We'd file a copy. We're trying to go obviously paperless and get away from this, but we'd file a copy and then we'd send a copy. Well, what we were finding is not only is that process inefficient in the course of our day, but 6 months later they'd come back and then let's say we referred for wisdom teeth and they'd want the referral again because they had lost the referral slip, right? And even with websites, the patient is not empowered to necessarily act on their own referral because it's communication between offices, but the patient kind of gets left out of the blue. And I don't think that's a lot different between dentistry and even medicine. I think sometimes the patient is a little bit unaware or unsure that the referrals have happened in a way that's they're not sure where to go with it, right? And so the inspiration was I wanted an icon on all the computers throughout the office, even on my iPhone, iPad. If I click on that, I want to be able to say, this is Johnny, this is what his mom, let's say Susie, this is what he needs, and then click on a picture of the professional that we're going to be sending it to, and then all the information will be disseminated. We'd be done with it right there, and then the patient would have it on the information on their phones. They'd be empowered to take it and go from there. And what we've found is not only is it tremendously efficient in our office, because we can make referrals now from every chair in the office in a matter of about 30 seconds. But at the same time, the serendipitous finding is that the patients now, again, closing that referral loop, are actually following through on their referrals better. And rather than 6 months later coming back and saying, gosh, I need another referral for wisdom teeth or whatever the case might be, 2 weeks later, the chart's on my desk and the procedure's been accomplished. So I think in terms of efficiency that day when we make the referral, it's better. It's efficient because we don't have to revisit it, and it's effective because the patients are getting the treatments that they need, and the offices are referring to are obviously benefiting from that as well.
Have you noticed that all the smartest people in dentistry are bald? Have you noticed that?
Well,
I mean, listening to you rant like that from a bald beauty. I know you're driving to work, so you can't stop and take notes. So what I do to my guests is I go to their Twitter. If you go to my Twitter, I'm at Howard Farran, and I just you're at Get Referred To on Twitter, at Get Referred To. So I just retweeted 2 of his tweets, and one is welcome to Denali Pediatric Dentistry, who's using your deal. And then I was very thankful. Your other tweet I retweeted. You retweeted a Dentaltown article. Thank you so much for doing that. So I just retweeted you to 20,000 of my homies, and I also think that if you were on Shark Tank, Mark Cuban and Mr. Wonderful would be in love with you because you did something that they're big fans of. In order to get started, you have a light for $3 a month, where it's no referral pads, instant distribution, securely send referrals. But then you got the deluxe plus, no referral pads, instant distribution, securely send referrals, securely receive referrals. So that's pretty smart how you have that. General Motors has the Chevy, the Pontiac, the Olds, the Buick, the Cadillac. And you got the Chevy for $3 a month and the Cadillac for $30 a month. What were your thoughts behind doing a 2-tiered system, $330? But I got to throw you under a bus under one condition on that. That
Sure.
is the research from people who have PhDs in economics and Nobel Prize in economics, where most of them come from University of Chicago. They actually say that when you only give them one offer, then the choices are yes or no, and that has the lowest high amount of sales. When you give them 2 offers, do you want the $3 a month, $30 a month? Your sales increase, but actually the research shows clearly that when you give them 3 offers, high, medium, low, you get the highest number of sales. So if you talk to a Nobel laureate in economics, they would tell you got to get something between 3 and 30. You need to figure out something that's 15 or 18 or something like that.
We'll take note there, and yeah, we'll look into that. Yeah, appreciate the input, no doubt.
I'm not a Nobel laureate in economics. I only have an MBA from ASU.
Yeah, well, a little bit about the inspiration for the send and then the send receive, and ideally, the real utility of this would be if we're able to communicate back and forth very efficiently again. So if we have the icon on there, and whomever is going to be using it, if they click on it, they want to be able to not only receive referrals but be able to send them. And so we did, in the initial development of this, obviously my wife is a dentist and we work with a bunch of them. There was some feeling that they don't receive a lot of referrals necessarily from us, and they wanted an option of sending only and basically having our referral pattern. And so we gave them that option. As we've moved down the line, though, what we find is I think that there's more referring back and forth than it was maybe initially thought that way. And for example, my wife being a dentist again, we were sitting with a practice management consultant that her office is working with, and I was sharing with her about the app, and she stopped and said, "Gosh, That's terrific in a different arena as well, because for a general dentist, one of the places they obviously refer to frequently is the endodontist, right? And what happens if those referrals get lost? Those root canals don't get done, but what doesn't come back to them? And that'd be the crown, right? And so these referrals, in terms of the communication that we have interdisciplinary, the communication obviously is circular. It goes both ways. We obviously are working hard to simplify the process so the patient can take control of their own referral and situation. But at the same time, for those that feel like they only are going to be referring out and sending referrals, we've given them an option. I think most that have utilized it effectively are both sending and receiving. And so to your point, maybe we need a third one in there that's receive only. But at the same time, now we've got either send or send and receive, and those are the two options.
Now, how long has it been out? 2013, 3 years?
Yeah, exactly. We've been using it for about 3 years. Yep, and there's been updates and additions as we've received feedback along the way, such as yours.
And how's it going? Is it you got many customers?
We do, yeah, and we've got obviously in Spokane we've got it pretty well populated here. For those that we work closely with, as you mentioned, we've got some in Alaska, East or Western Washington, Florida, Arizona, Maine, Michigan, and so it's
now,
largely.
If a specialist is listening to this, or a general dentist, like say I'm curious, like I'm in Phoenix. I mean, I'd love to see who's using it in Phoenix, and if my referring docs were using it, I'd do it tomorrow. Do you give that, or is that private information?
No, they can definitely, if you sign up, I mean, there's a 3-month free trial, you sign up and there's a directory there, and you can check who's in the directory, and there's a really powerful search feature there that you can look by zip code, whatever information is in their profile, which they've updated within the app itself, you can search by that. So it's city, name, practice name, zip code, whatever information they've listed.
How's Phoenix going for you?
Phoenix is sparse. We need your help there, Howard.
All right. Yeah, I think that's cool. And I also want to know, now, I always tell Jan to get the referral. Now, if I got that $30 a month package, is that just for one device, or could she have it on her iPhone, me have it on my iPhone, have it on different desktops? How many users?
No, you can as many. That's a practice. That's a practice username and account, and so you can use that across as many devices as you wish. Whether it be your phone, we've got it on all the computers in the office, and so yeah, once in multiple users, if you've got a group practice, again, you would just pay for the subscription. It's by the month. You'd pay for it for the office, and if you've got multiple providers in a group practice, they would all be using the same account. So we've tried to make that very economically efficient, because the real utility for all of this, Howard, all of us, is the more people that are able to use it, obviously, the more we're going to be connected to each other and able to. We just referred a patient to Houston the other day that's transferring and needed an orthodontist down in Houston. And so not only do we have the ability to refer across town, but we could be referring transfer patients that way as well. So the real utility is the more people that get in and join. And so we've tried to create a very price efficient situation where that really is not much of a hurdle. If you take into account the cost of a referral pad, I mean that's very simply, but at the same time, if I think the real value to those is not only the efficiency and the effectiveness, but if you think about let's say wisdom teeth again, if you think about one patient that may or may not have found the oral surgeon, I think the real lost opportunity cost is pretty obvious if you pick up an extra patient or two along the way because they've actually acted upon the referral. I think the monthly subscription rate hopefully is a real drop in the bucket.
I think on this podcast, we put on Dentaltown, Hygiene-Town, Orthotown, but we also put on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes. I really like that video on your website. It looks like you did that real well. You ought to email that to me and Ryan, and then we'll attach that at the end of this. Do you want to do that? Absolutely. Fantastic. We would be happy to do that. Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Now, has any orthodontist used this to try to increase their referrals from general dentists by signing up the dentists in their hood?
Well, absolutely. And again, it's it's one of those deals when we initially developed the inspiration was to make things more efficient, effective in our office. And part of the question of the developers again, is this to send out referrals more easily or to get them? Well, it's kind of like again, an analogy would be what Amazon does with
try to increase
buying a book. If we make it more efficient and easy for them to send us patients as orthodontists, one would think that it's going to facilitate that and then make it easier. Because in the middle of busy days, naturally, if you have to stop and if there's a hitch in the giddy up in terms of making a referral, that might stymie that process. But if we make it very, very smooth and efficient for them, so we've seen it certainly help us. I can't speak for others as to whether they've signed up and what their success has been, but I know from someone that refers out as well as receives referral, it's worked great for us.
Well, it seems like the people that do everything the smartest is, most dentists spend all day working in their business, and then at night they're too exhausted to work on their business. And whenever you have a franchise situation, you got this franchisee layer management that's always working on the business. Have you tried to go to like Rick Workman of Heartland and trying to get him to roll that out to his 1,400 dentist, or Steve Thorne of Pacific Dental to roll it out to their 500 dentist, or have you gone out to try to get some of the big dogs?
We haven't reached out to them yet, no, but that'd be a great idea.
Well, send me your best pitch to Howard at Dentaltown.com, and I'll reply back to Rick Workman at Heartland and Steve Thorne at Pacific and say you might want to check this out, because those are the people that if it makes business sense, that they're done. Dentists are usually paralysis by analysis. They overanalyze everything. They're paralyzed by the decision-making process. You know what I mean? Send your best pitch about this to me at Howard at Dentaltown.com, and then I'll reply back to Rick Workman at Heartland Dental and to Steve Thorne at Pacific Dental, and it'd be it'd be amazing. I mean, these guys are big accounts, and you never know. If they rolled it out and had 1,400 dentists using it, they might find some other feature they want you to add or something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. And we get feedback all the time about various ways that others use it, perhaps differently than we do. And I think that the biggest thing that we espouse with Refer.2 is, again, we want to make things simple, right? If it's not simple, we're probably not going to use it, and nor will anybody else. But it also has to be secure, and those pillars are what we're looking for. So as we add things, we want to maintain that simplicity and usability, and of course the security is imperative. If it's not secure, we can't use it.
So what's it like when you go home at night when you and your wife are both in dentistry? Do you guys, since you're both in it, love it and talk about it all night, or do you have rules that say, hey, it's 5 o'clock, no more dentistry? How does that work when you're married to a dentist?
That's a great question, Howard. That was dental school, and not anymore. So she was at the University of Washington the same time I was there, and so thankfully we've got two boys that are really active, and so our conversations are more focused on their activities and who's going where and when, and bringing things back together after all of it and how to go. So fortunately, it's more family oriented now and less teeth, and that keeps us all moving forward.
How old are your boys?
9 and just turned 7.
9 and 7.
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday that Ryan sitting next to me was 9 and 7. You talk about getting continuing education to get really good at what we do to increase the team's overall productivity and enjoyment. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was just at the AAO, and I have to give props to Daryl Davis. Just saw him speak. You may have seen him before. He's a comedian. He's done some research into the smile, right? And he hit it on the head. And in terms of what we do every day, right? And if we back up a step, obviously we rely on referrals and all of the metrics that we keep track of in terms of exams and all of it, productivity and all of that. I think before you even get to the point of a referral, patients have to feel good, right? They have to feel good about the end product that you're delivering, but they also have to feel good about the experience. I would take it even one step, beyond that, and before the patients feel good, you have to have a staff that feels good. And so in order to be comfortable in doing what we do every day, it's kind of a dance. It's a high wire act sometimes. And the enjoyment level comes up, the better you get. If you're not really proficient, if you're not really sure of the systems that are in place or your own abilities, I think that goes for all of us. You're a little bit uneasy, a little uncomfortable. So if you're going to pull that off and do it well and feel good about it during the day and at the end of the day, I think it's important to really hone your skills. And so, whether you're a hula hooper that can dance while you're hula hooping, or you're a dental assistant or an orthodontic assistant that's trying to work your way through a busy day, or a practitioner. I think the better we get at what we do, and the more we hone our skills, the more we can do the dance and smile throughout the process. And I think it feels good for us, and it also feels good for the team around you, and also the patients that come through and see us. So I think that's probably not unique to dentistry, but I think the better you get, the better you function, the better you feel.
They never remember what we did. They always remember how we made them feel. And every time I see an orthodontist just crushing it, you walk in there and it's just this fun environment. You can feel it and sense it. And they have video games and ice cream things. And it's just, you just feel the fun. And then you walk into another orthodontist office right across the street, and he's doing like 1/4 the sales. And you feel like you just walked into a library.
Sure. Yeah. No, I would agree. And it again, we work there. It's part of the energy. It's part of the fun, and that's one of the things that I pay attention to. And obviously the business side of it, how are things going that way, and how all of this feeds into that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we're part of the team. We walk out with our team at the end of the day, and I think it's important that we do a good job, but we also feel good about it during and after, for everybody's sake.
So you were at the AAO meeting in just last couple weeks ago in San Diego?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Just when you and your wife were talking, who do you think's got more competition in supply and demand? What do you think it's more competitive? Be an orthodontist or a general dentist?
Oh, that's a good one, Howard. I think in the market that we're in, I don't know that it's necessarily more for one or the other. I just know it's competitive. And again, I think that's if you think of the exams and all of that you try to generate, I think it's kind of a wooden philosophy that we've espoused in the sense that we take care of what we can and do it the best that we can. And obviously you don't want to stick your head in the sand as to what's going on around you, but at the same time we're focused on what we do. It's incredibly competitive both ways. I think there's supply demand wise, there's a lot of us out there being dentists and orthodontists, and I think it's good, though. It's competitive, and it forces us to be our best. So I don't know if I can necessarily say one or the other. I think we just all have to be on top of our game and do a good job. And there's a place for good work. I trained under Lyle Johnston, and at one point he was asked where would be a good place to go and practice, and without quoting him, which would be hard to do, he'd more or less go anywhere you want, but do a good job.
Nice. You talk about something I love it when people talk about. You talk about following benchmarks to monitor practice systems effectiveness. I mean, that's the weakest area in every dental office known to man. They don't know their numbers. They love doing the dentistry, and I get that it's fun. But what benchmarks do you follow to monitor your practice effectiveness?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we share a lot of this with our team. I think it's helpful when we all know what direction we're going in and where we are at. So we empower them to take action around goals, and obviously we track how many new patients, how many people are finding us. We track the production that's taking place, and how are we doing in terms of collecting what's been produced. But at the same time, we track what's going out the door for marketing. How effective is that? How do our numbers stand for in terms of rent, and so just there's a number of practice management gurus out there that help with these various areas, and so we don't necessarily dwell on them. We make them known throughout the office. It allows them to actually help do something about it, and we can see trends. But at the same time, about 10 plus years ago now, when I put the office together, we worked with some of the systems that Charlene White put out there, but I know there's a number of other good ones. And so
I just did a podcast with her. It's posted, and she's amazing. I mean, she's been doing this 30 years. Gosh, she's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we worked with her, not only to set things up before with the materials that we had that she put out, but at the same time even to fine tune things a little bit because again, as things grow, inefficiencies start to rear their head, and sometimes it takes an expert to diagnose and help with some of those things. So as with the team itself and those that we work with and other business endeavors, I think it takes some humility and understanding that you can't do it yourself, and get good people around you, such as Charlene or others, and a good crew, and it can make things not only more enjoyable, it's certainly more effective.
So Charlene White only does orthodontist, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah, and so did you think that was a return on investment?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
By a number of what?
Oh gosh, I'd say at least 5 times what we.
I know. Every time you meet a big dog, they always say, "Well, here's my secret sauce." When I started out my office, I got Sandy Purdue or some consultant, and she set everything up right, got my house in order, and we've been sailing ever since. And that's what I want them to get. I want them to get their house poised for growth as a consultant. So you own your own office, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Now, does she own her own office?
She doesn't right now, Howard. But interesting question. She's actually in the process of purchasing it from her dad. She's worked with him for the last 10 years, and so they're going through a transition right now. So she will be in the next few months.
Wow. So she's married to a dentist. She's the daughter of a dentist. Is she on any psychiatric medications, or does she just use vodka and beer and a couple of shooters every day?
No, she works out, and I think a little bit of that and some alone time every now and then is good.
So that is so cool. Well, I don't want to get personal, but I just think that's so cool that she's been working for her dad for 10 years. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's been a great deal for both of them, and her aunt is a hygienist in their office. It's within the family, and they've had the same crew for a long time, and they've got a good thing going there.
That is so cool. Now, would you describe her as a soccer mom where she only wants to work 3 days a week, leave at 5 o'clock, have nothing to do with it? As so many people try to stereotype, that's what a lot of the women graduating dental school are going to be. Or do you see her as ambitious as you and both want to do the Monday through Friday 8 to 5 thing?
It's interesting you say that. She's actually working 3 days now, and she's a bit more of our social coordinator at home than I certainly am. So I think after we started a family, she went back, tried the 2 days, the 3 days, the 4 days, and for her, especially with the situation that as it turned out with her dad, it's been a great deal for each of them. They've worked 3 days apiece. They overlap in the middle, and it's worked out great that way. And so she's kind of found her comfort zone, hit her stride that way, and so when she buys the practice, and her dad, he'll be working back for her some in the transitional process, but eventually she's going to end up most likely with a partner and associate that would fill some of the role in terms of the patient days that her dad was doing.
Now, what you do is, as soon as it's closed, then that's when you tell Dad that there's no more overlap on Wednesday. You're working Saturday. I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he's going to work Thursday. Just say that's a deal, or I'll fire you, Dad.
Well, she better be careful what she wishes for, because I know he enjoys the lake, so he might spend more time at the lake that way and say thank you very much.
Now, did she use a different consultant? Or does she have a dental consultant that worked for her and her dad? You said you used Charlene White for your orthodontic
Absolutely.
practice.
It's ACT, and the ACT. Yep.
Kirk Barrett out of Kansas City.
You got it. That's it. Yep.
Love him. I went to dental school in Kansas. He's just a good old boy. That is so cool. You got Charlene White for your orthodontic practice. We did a podcast, and your wife Kirk did a podcast with him. And I mean, you're just so damn smart. Both you and your wife have a practice and got consulting services to set it up, a solid foundation, get poised for growth. I want to ask you, this is Dentistry Uncensored, so we talk about the things that are controversial that no one wants to talk about. What does it make you feel like? Because you're married to a general dentist, your father-in-law's a general dentist. What do you as an orthodontist feel like when some general dentist in your hood starts doing Invisalign?
You know what? There's enough for all of us to do, Howard. It really doesn't bother me that much. One of the things that I truly believe that there's there's a large segment of the population out there that, quite frankly, would not do braces. If they would rather live with their malocclusion than to do braces. Obviously, a big part of our practice is Invisalign, so you could look at it as if it was a territorial thing. But at the same time, I think if you look at all of the people out there that certainly we have the teens that do braces and would prefer that. But in terms of the adults, the relapse, even teens now that would prefer Invisalign, I think there's when you look at the size of the population, then the small percentage of them really that are doing braces. When you add I think the circle just gets bigger. I think there's more of a pie to share. I don't think that we're necessarily taking each other's piece of the pie, and so I would rather have dentists that with an understanding of what we're doing and work with them through the various referrals than not perhaps. So it's I suppose you could look at it as if that's biting into what we do, but I don't necessarily agree with that.
Love you, love you, love you. I mean, my favorite characteristic of another human is when they think in hope, growth, and abundancy, not fear and scarcity. The fear and scarcity think the pie is limited, and if you take half the pie, I only get half. Or the hope, growth, and abundancy, the people say, hey, let's work together and make the pie 2 to 3 times larger. And, and there you are. So here's another thing, we got all these kids graduating. We got 6,000 kids graduating next week going into dentistry. And a lot of them think to take continuing education, they got to buy an airplane ticket and fly across the country and drop a bunch of money in San Diego or something. And I always say, God, just walk across the street. But they think, well, I can't walk across the street to the man, Josh Johnson, and ask him if he'll help me do my first Invisalign case, because he's going to be thinking, no, I want the Invisalign. You referred to me. In fact, I made a referral deal, refer.to. You don't do it, I'll do it. What would you do if a little 25-year-old girl walked in your office and she was up the street from you and she said, I want to learn Invisalign. Will you show me how to do it?
I think we would share our knowledge as orthodontists. I mean, obviously going to the AAO, going to the various Invisalign meetings and so forth, we're learning from other orthodontists or other specialists that have done more of it and have tips and tricks and best practices that we are absorbing in. So to continue the circle there, you'll pass it along. And again, if you're going to do it successfully, enjoy it. And by all means, I mean, there's going to be times where we might have a practice situation where we have to ask them. So it's just again, pass it on.
You can't be afraid of rejection. I mean, anybody good in sales, when someone says no, they don't bat an eye. They just say, okay. A lot, like in cars, a lot of them are brainwashed that say they love it when a person says no because they know they have to get 9 no's to sell a car. So every time they rack up another no, they just smell they're closer to selling another car. So if you're struggling with endo, go knock on the endodontist door across the street from you, and if he doesn't want to help you learn endo and says just refer to me, just smile and say okay, great idea, and then walk across the street to the other endodontist. But I think at least half of the dentists think in hope, growth, and abundancy, and half think in fear and scarcity. So you go knock on some door and they slam it in your face, smile real big and say, I need that because now I know the next guy is going to open my door. I want to get to technology because when you talk about Invisalign, they're the ones who created the brand, and I have to congratulate them that I think that was the biggest brand created in dentistry in my 30 years. I mean, when I got into dentistry, they already had Colgate and Listerine and all those crests, but Invisalign is like probably as big as Crest or Colgate. And everybody knows about it. But now there's other ones. There's clear aligners. But there's also intraoral scanning. Are you taking impressions and sending to the lab? Or did you use Invisalign and use their ITR Scanner to send in a digital impression? Or are you using a generic clear aligner?
No, we're using the ITR element, and we're sending that along for our Invisalign patients. And when you think about it from a convenience ultimately is king as far as a consumer. People are busy. People want things to be done efficiently. People don't necessarily, no matter how well we do it at the office, don't necessarily want to be coming more than they need to. And so the advent of these, the iTero, we have the element currently, the efficiency of the scan, the accuracy, boy, they are fantastic. And so highly recommend those. The staff love it. The patients certainly like that in contrast to a PVS impression perhaps. But we've taken that a step further and even used it for expanders. We use it for all of the other different holding appliances, retainers, that sort of thing. And again, when you've got young kids, if you could do that and take a scan over the course of, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute versus taking impressions, it's a benefit for the patient. It's an efficiency for us. The efficiency comes in not only from the immediate time that it takes the scan versus the impression, but the impression then has to be poured up, the impression has to be then trimmed, the impression has to be sent out the door, the room has to be cleaned up. So those are efficiencies within our office that are obviously very tangible. At the same time, the patient experience is improved as well. So we use the Element for Invisalign, absolutely. And we've had great success that way with the fit, the efficiency, all of that. But we also use it for a lot of other appliances as well, and I highly recommend it.
What % of your practice is Invisalign versus fixed?
Right now, it's probably about 20% Invisalign and 80% fixed. I think the trend is for that to be changing, though, in the sense that with teen cases now that there was this notion that teens may not comply as well in this sort of thing as adults, but boy, in our experience, they've done tremendously well. There's an efficiency there, even that perhaps is better than with fixed appliances. You can start rubber bands earlier. We don't have to wait until we work up to a certain arch wire to actually get things going. So we've seen teens, not only do you have the growth on your side and that, but with the help of parents and mature teens, they've really knocked it out of the park in terms of efficiency. And also the end results have been tremendous, because if that wasn't the case, obviously the story sort of ends there. So we're sort of getting the best of both worlds a little bit with these guys. So I sense that it's going to be more as we move forward.
Who would be the next biggest leader after Invisalign in the clear aligner space?
Oh, ClearCorrect would likely be second. Third place couldn't say necessarily, but we see a lot of material from ClearCorrect and
ClearCorrect.
Correct. Yep.
And are they out of Dallas?
I believe so. Yes.
Was the guy who started ClearCorrect also the guy who started Invisalign?
I do remember something about that. There was also another player in that for a while, OrthoClear, I believe, and he may have been related to that crew.
Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of like an airplane. In my entire life, the airplanes have gotten bigger, fatter, nicer, more fuel efficient, but they still just go that 550 miles an hour. I mean, you still. They never increase the speed, and that's the way ortho was for a long time. But now you're starting to see technology to increase the speed. Are you using any technology to increase the speed, so not every case is a 2-year case, and now you can do some of them in a year?
Well, absolutely, and again, I think getting back to Invisalign especially with the teen cases, I think. There's definitely an efficiency there with the class 2 correction, because again, you can get started with rubber bands earlier, and so those are moving along quite rapidly. SureSmile is another player in that space with the wires that can be scanned, and so that way you're going from A to Z in a little bit more direct fashion, so you're not getting some of the unwanted tooth movement that happens that then you have to go back and tidy up at the end of large wire bands. So that's another effective solution, but in our hands, the transition to more Invisalign is where we're seeing it most.
But there's other technologies. There's micro perforations. There's vibrations. You using any of that stuff?
We've done very little bit of Propel, which is the micro perforations, and as far as the vibration technology, we have not utilized that at all at this point.
What was the other? You said there's ClearCorrect, OrthoClear. What was the one that started with Sure?
Oh, SureSmile? Yeah.
SureSmile. So those are all clear aligners?
No, SureSmile is actually robotically bent wires, and so you scan with brackets on, and then you would have the malocclusion as it currently is, much as a ClinCheck, and then you'd put it together, a final result, and then there's robotically bent arch wires actually versus manually doing that. So there's stainless steel wires, there's TMA wires, there's NiTi wires, and there's an efficiency there if you're getting the wires. We can't bend NiTi wires, so you can have a NiTi wire that's soft and bendable at the beginning of treatment. Not only are you getting some of those final bends in earlier, but those some of the round tripping that would happen conventionally isn't necessarily happening there. So it's more like traditional braces, but it's a high-tech robotically bent wire.
So do you use your Invisalign ITR scanner? You put on the brackets, and then are you scanning it with your ITR and then sending it to Sure Smile? Then they overnight you a robotically bent wire? Is that how it works?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's not overnight, but yeah, that's the way it works.
But it's through a Sure Smile. You're using the ITR scanner.
Correct.
And is it but it's not owned by Invisalign. You're using the ITR scanner, but sending the scan to Sure Smile instead of Invisalign to robotically bend that wire.
Correct. And Sure Smile, the parent company, I believe, is Orometrics. They're out of Dallas. Yeah.
Orometrics?
Orometrics, O-R-A Metrics, yep.
Out of Dallas?
Correct.
Huh, that is interesting. Some people, what do you think about, some people say, well, Invisalign, that, having a tray once a month goes all the way back to a gazillion years ago when you had a monthly appointment because people would come in and make a monthly payment. And that the monthly appointment was tied to the monthly payment, but maybe if you did switch out the Invisalign tray every 2 weeks instead of every 4 weeks, the case would go twice as fast. Is that true or not really?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because they've recently recommended that we actually look at changing the trays once a week now. And we've gone to that, and for most people, they're tracking beautifully. The advanced attachment technology has certainly helped with some of the more difficult movements that way, but we're trading them out once a week. And again, that's part of the efficiency as well. And so we're treating these cases pretty quickly. And so in terms of tying the billing to actual appointments and so forth, that's pretty much gone away in our office. We use Ortho Bank to help automate those payments, and so the payment again has been disassociated from the actual appointments, and I think another challenge that's going to we're going to continue to need to confront is the length of time that the families are paying for their treatment, because if we're treating cases that used to be 18 months in about a year, the monthly payment, if it's comfortable up to about $200 on average, you can't necessarily be bringing the payment terms down to match the treatment time very comfortably for the families. So we're going to have to be extending things out and mitigating our risk that way in terms of collecting the rest of the fee. And I think a lot of that, the mitigation of the risk is the experience that they have and the rapport that you have with the family. If people like you, the chances are they're probably going to pay their bill. So, once in a while we might get burned, but at the same time, I by and large, we've not run into that just yet. But I think that's going to be coming more as the treatments become more and more efficient.
And you said you use Ortho Bank for that. What is their website? www.orthobank?
I couldn't say. I would guess so if you looked up Ortho Bank.
Why are you using Ortho Bank for that? I mean, why?
It's automated. It's set up at the beginning. They choose the monthly payment, and it's an automatic bank draft that happens once a month, and we receive the payments to our office once a week. So the patients have an option of the first week, second week, third week, fourth week for the bank drafts to happen. And once it's automated that way, in that way we're not sending statements. The Ortho Bank takes care of some of the interaction that way, and they pay us accordingly.
Now, do they have a general dentist finance option for your wife and father-in-law's practice, or does Ortho Bank only do orthodontist?
They don't use that service, but I believe that they have perhaps they call it dental bank. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they have something there, but I couldn't say for 100% certainty.
Yeah, and it's not Ortho Bank with a K, B-A-N-K. B-A-N-K. It's Ortho Bank, B-A-N-C. And what I try to do to help
Correct.
my homies, because I know they're driving, I tweet their Twitter. So Ortho Bank, we had a great time at AAO. Thanks everybody stopped by. You can email them marketing@orthobank.com. So I just retweeted that, and now I need to go to referto.com and refer.to for Tonga. That's so cool that you did that. And I'm going to go to your Twitter and I already retweeted your Twitter, right? Yeah. Okay, I already did that.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So they say in the industry that the average new patient is worth $6,500 to an orthodontist, and they recoup that in 2 years or less. And for a family dentist, it's still the same $6,500, but it's recouped over 5 years. And then the average patient is usually off to another dental office, which is what we see where the average dentist has 5,000 charts, only 1,000 are active. That's a hygienist, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. That's 2,000 hours, seeing 1,000 people twice a year, while 4,000 never came back. Is that what you and your wife are seeing in your microeconomics, that a new patient's worth about $6,500?
Probably close to that. I think in our market here, it might be a little bit less than that, but I think that'd be pretty realistic and close. Yeah.
And do you and your you being an orthodontist and your wife and father-in-law being general dentist, do you spend the same percent on marketing? I mean, do you both have a budget that you spend on marketing? Is it a percent of revenue?
Correct. We spend about 3 to 4%. I can't necessarily speak for what they do. I think it's probably less for them at this point. But given the transition and so forth, that it's probably going to come more into line. But I can't necessarily speak for them. But yeah, we're about 3 or 4%.
It seems like orthodontist and cosmetic dentist are the ones that spend the most. I mean, if I ever meet anyone spending 6 or 7% in collection on marketing, it's always an orthodontist or a high-end cosmetic dentist.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do, for us at least, Howard, in this the sense that our patient population turns over every 2 years, and so we're consistently needing new patients, especially as we treat them faster now. Yet we have to be, continuing that process and filling the chairs with new exams and so forth. And thankfully, as the practice grows and matures and so forth, it becomes a lot of friends, family that are second, third, fourth family members and friends that are those exams. But at the same time, it takes a lot of new patients to keep things busy.
Have you read any studies? Back to refer.to.com. Refer to what percent of referrals? Is there any industry data on what percent of referrals actually go to the referring specialist? I mean, I'm not saying that they actually got treatment, but actually just walked in the door, and/or what percent actually walked in the door and then got it done. Do you have any data on that? To where your refer to might be able to increase that closure rate?
Yeah, exactly. The studies out there are fairly limited, but the one study that sticks out in my mind, it was about 20%, which is seemingly pretty low. It was an older study, but at the same time, it was 20%. And quite frankly, again, I don't have the statistics in our office, but that's about what it feels like in terms of referring it, whether it's primary teeth to the pediatric dentist or general dentist, or wisdom teeth. It's unfortunately low.
Well, you know what I like the most about your refer.to product is that like a lot of dentists, I thought it was kind of silly to be sending 4 set of wisdom teeth to an oral surgeon every week for a year, and then at Christmas get a box of cookies. I thought it was far more valuable to send the treatment plan to the oral surgeon and say, dude, when you're in there, this person needs 6 cavities. Can you back me up and tell them the importance of getting these $250 cavities filled so they don't turn into $2,000 root canals and crowns? And there was a lot of oral surgeons and dentists on Dentaltown that got this going. And they said that it used to be, I'd send them 4 wisdom teeth. They'd max out the $1,000 max. I wouldn't see the patient again for 2 or 3 years, and it'd be a toothache. And then they started doing this process, and the oral surgeon put the pano up on the light box, said, "Hey, you know you got 8 cavities, right? You're only gonna be sore for a week or two after this, but you need to get back into that dentist and get these filled, or you might be back here getting more teeth filled." I mean, to have a specialist go over your treatment plan is the best thing you could do for the patient and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And the more education that happens, the more understanding, the more you empower them to act on their own behalf and share with them that in our situation, a lot of times, the kids are young, and we share with them, these permanent teeth might be new, but at the same time, you need them for the next 80 or 90 years. So the more you can educate them as to, they're only with us, for, once out of every 2 months or so for a half hour. And so at the same time, you're absolutely right. Whether it's getting treatment back to the general dentist or just educating them that this is what we're seeing, this is what you just really need to be on top of that. As with Refer.2, the more you educate them and empower them to take care of themselves, I think it's obviously best for them. But I think in the larger circle of things, that's work that we end up needing to do, and perhaps sometimes if it's if you're preventative and you're stopping something from happening further or worse, be fantastic, because it's in the patient's best interest.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be, you're talking about what percent of referrals from general dentists go to the specialist. You say you saw an older study, 20%. I wonder if you could transfer more recent studies. There's so much more studies in medicine because there's over 1 million MDs in the United States. In fact, there's only 10,000 orthodontists. There's 40,000 DOs. I wonder what percent of prescriptions actually get filled at like Walgreens and CVC. And I wonder if that data would be close to they're going to the referrals. Because I read all the time that when these doctors, these general physicians, they go in there and they say, okay, I need you to go see a cardiologist for this and an internist for your thyroid or diabetes, and they send them to 3 different places, and Grandpa just walks out the door and throws them right in the trash can. And I've heard as much as a third of prescriptions don't even get filled. Of course, it doesn't help that the doctor writes it in Latin. So when Grandpa didn't remember what he said, he's looking at some Latin. I mean, God forbid you'd say, take this blue pill every day or you'll have a stroke. He's got to do this Q46H PRN, Latin crap.
Yeah, no, and again, coming back to what we do in terms of Grandpa walking out the door and really not knowing what the next step is, or acting upon it. I think that's not unusual. Where patients will. I was just speaking to a soccer mom the other day, and she's asked, what do I have to do about this situation? It's like, gosh, that's a sticky one to get in the middle of. But she shared her story, and it was an orthodontist on the other side of town that mentioned that he would send a referral over to the dentist, and she wasn't sure if it happened or not. And then she calls the office, which of course is inefficient. But then in the end, she felt like the wrong teeth were taken out. Well, what do I do about this? She asked me. I was like, well, first of all, you need to talk to them, and second of all, you probably need to tell them about Refer.2, because had they used that, Mom would know what was sent. And typically, when the referrals are sent, when we click the button, we say, Mom, as soon as your phone goes ding, you're going to know Dr. So-and-so has the referral. Well, on Mom's referral, she know what was asked for. And so it closes that loop and helps them get there. And again, with them being able to take care of their own care that way, not only are the other offices able to follow through with them, but when it's kind of like a hip. Did the physician send the referral to my orthopedic specialist, or am I supposed to follow through? Whatever the case may be, there's confusion in that system. Whereas now, when you hit the button, everybody has the same information. Mom has it on her phone, and you can actually do something about it. So again, we don't have the statistics, but people are actually acting upon these more effectively.
I have another thing. We have so much in common. Of course, I wrote a book called Uncomplicate Business, and I wrote it when I turned 50. I was already a dentist with an MBA, crushing it for half a century. And I wrote my book, Uncomplicate Business, on Amazon. It's got like 50 5-star reviews or whatever. But you mentioned your favorite book, and it's actually my favorite. We have the same favorite book. My favorite business author of all time is James C. Collins. When I got out of school, the first one I read was Built to Last. Then the one you mentioned was Good to Great, and you're giving away your age. That means you're over 40. Are you over 40?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 54, so only a 54-year-old would remember Built to Last. And I don't recommend really reading that so much because it was a long time ago. Then it was Good to Great, but his new one was Great by Choice. That came out in 2011. Built to Last was 1994. Good to Great was 2001. Did you read his third one, or Great by Choice, in 2011?
I have not, no.
Okay, so here's the story on this guy. So what he is he's a business guy. He's in Colorado, and he's got all these grad students. And what they do is they do a ton of research for like 5 years. And then after 5 years, they summarize all this work, and then they write a book. So the first one was 94, Built to Last. Then in 2001, he did Good to Great. And then he did my favorite in 2009, How the Mighty Fell. And then he just did, the last one was Great by Choice 2011. So I'm sure he'll be coming out with one. I liked How the Mighty Fall because when he did all that research, three of his books were, well, how did the good ones go great, and what did they all have in common from a research point of view, not some fluff, not some fad. So much of practice management and leadership is all fads and all this stuff. But he thought to myself, hell, why don't you just do the reverse? Let's look at all the ones that fell from grace, and what did they do? I actually think How the Mighty Fell is actually the shortest book, fastest read, because it's pretty simple why most people fail, and it's a lot more complex of how they do great. But what did Jim Collins, what did that book, Good to Great, what did that mean to you? Why did you?
Well, what really sticks out is just getting the right people on the bus, Howard. In terms of, there's some really talented people that we not only are enjoyable to work next to, but also can do things oftentimes better than we can, whether we like to admit it or not. And so the various personalities within the office, have various strengths. And they not only with the way they get along with each other, the way they treat the patients, and the way you can use those strengths. So not only getting the right people on the bus, but getting them in the right seats. It's a challenge sometimes, but that's what we strive for. And I think for the most highly effective team, the people involved are the ones that really make it happen. And then from there, you create a vision and you educate and give them the autonomy and the empowerment to do their thing. Because again, we work with some really talented people in our office, and I'm really grateful for them, because it makes a big difference in terms of how the team functions, the product that we put out.
Right on. Is there that was the fastest hour I've ever done. I can't believe we are an hour. That's our brand, an hour. That's their average commute. That's how long they want to stay on the Stairmaster or the treadmill. It's about 85% are on their commute to work, and the other 15% unfortunate ones are on the treadmill or the Stairmaster. I hope it's the treadmill, and they got the one that actually goes downhill. That's what I want to buy. I want to buy the treadmill where the back comes up and you just fall forward for an hour. But the bottom line, we got 6,000 people graduating next week from dental school. Final thoughts. What advice would you give 6,000 kids as they just graduate from dental school in America and join our sovereign profession? What would you say to them?
Like I mentioned, surround yourself with good people. Do what you want to do where you want to do it. Find the place you want to be, and then follow your passions and get educated. Do it very, very well. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to serve you well. Your patients are going to appreciate it, and happy patients probably is going to ultimately mean more of what you're loving doing.
And they always say, every psychologist, psychiatrist says you're basically a summary of your 5 closest friends, and so just surround yourself with good people. If your best drinking buddy from dental school hates dentistry and is always whining, complaining, you need to upgrade your friends. I think some of the most serious, best advice anyone can do is edit their friends. I remember when I went to Creighton, the first day I was there were 88 boys on my floor. And I sat there and I looked at the ones that wanted to go drinking and dancing and being crazy and all that stuff. And I just kept thinking to myself, okay, I have to get into dental school. I cannot be turned down. I don't have a backup plan. This is all I want to do. This is my dream. Who are the most likely boys out of this 88 who I know will get in dental school? And everyone I picked, it was Joe Dovkin who became an endodontist. It was Randy Kerwin. It was Gary Isolde. I mean, you just know who they're going to be. And so I just modeled myself after them, because I'd say, hey, you want to go watch Monday Night Football? And they go, hell no, dude, there's a test tomorrow. We're going to the library. And I'd say, rats, because I'm already committed to marrying you. I'm going to do what you do because I know you're going to make it. And I just did what they did. And same thing when you open up your practice. What I love most about getting my FAGD is that when you would go to those AGD courses, everyone in that room was going for their FAGD, their MAGD. They were all going for it. They were all optimists. And if you surround yourself with a bunch of drinking, whining, moaning, complaining, the sky is falling, and they always divert everything to politics. They spend all their time, backseat driving Trump and North Korea and Putin, as if any of that's going to affect your practice. And you just get with the right people like you who think in hope, growth, and abundancy. Let's all grow the pie. Hell, I've referred so many patients to general dentists in my zip code that I thought would be a better cosmetic dentist. I mean, obviously, Tom Mattern up the street can do implants better than me, 10 to 1, 100 to 1. I mean, just think in hope, growth, and abundancy. Read Good to Great. Read all 4 Jim Collins books after you read my Uncomplicate Business.
There you have it.
And I have a thread on Dentaltown called the 20 Greatest Orthodontic Podcasts of All Time. And Ryan, when we release his, let's add him to that list. And maybe, are more of your customers orthodontists or general dentists?
We've got a pretty good mix at this point. Oral surgeons, general dentists are probably the most prevalent, but there's certainly a number of orthodontists as well.
Well, you might want to write an article about it on, if it's not just a sales piece, but if it's value added, if you would learn something from reading about why you did this journey. I mean, you are an orthodontist married to a dentist. Send the article to Dan Grobe, or Dan at orthotown.com is the editor of OrthoTown, and Tom Jacoby is Tom at Dentaltown. He's the editor of Dentaltown since the year 2000. Or just send it to me and I'll reply back. But I think what you're doing is amazing, because I would love, in my office personally, that when I say get a referral, Jan has to leave the room and go to this one closet where all these bins of all these referral pads. I'd love it if she just took off her gloves, pulled out her iPhone, went to refer, tap, 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 tap. And then I also love that feature, which I saw in the video, which we'll attach right now when I shut the hell up. You'll be able to watch that, is how you can also list the patient's number. So you can just tap it and then call the patient. You could follow up on them, right?
Yeah, so the text that the patient will get actually is going to have the referred to office's name, the referred to office's phone number, website, and then also the reason for the referral. So when they're trying to get a hold of the office that they've been referred to, it's actually the office's number, but that way the patient isn't having to look anything up. They just tap on it. It obviously sends it. Or if they don't know where the office is, they tap on the website, and of course they'll be able to find information about the office there in terms of location and everything else.
Now, could you call the patient too?
Well, once the referral is sent, the referred to office gets an email with that information, which is the same thing. You'd tap on it if you received it on your phone. So it's in an email format. And then the triplicate of that is the referring out office gets that same email, basically. And so, yeah, all of that information would be in emails to offices, but the patients generally get texts. Absolutely.
Well, you're a wickedly smart guy, and that's just so common in dentistry when the dentist is bald. I notice that all the time, from Pete Dawson to Josh Johnson of Refer.to for Tonga. Tonga or no, Tongo?
Tonga, I believe, yes.
Tonga?
I think so.
Huh, okay. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
I appreciate it, Howard. Thanks so much. I enjoyed the chat.
And from a guy who's raised 4 boys, good luck with those 2 boys, 9 and 7. That's the whole meaning of life. I tell everybody my dentistry is a career, and my 4 boys are my profession.
You know what? We love it. It's fun to see them grow and do their fun stuff, and it couldn't be better.
All right, buddy. And then if you get lucky enough, they'll make you a grandchild one day. I got 2 grandchildren, so just keep that in mind.
Hey, they're still kids, man. We'll let them be kids.
All right, take care.
Welcome to Refer.to, What is Refer.2? It's your new digital referral pad. No more need for expensive, hard-to-manage paper referral pads. Refer.2 is an innovative online referral system used to securely send referrals from any device to professionals and patients in an instant. Need to send a referral? Simply tap the convenient Refer.2 shortcut icon on any device in your practice. No need to stumble through browser bookmarks. Fill out the patient's information and choose your preferred delivery method. It's also simple to upload associated patient documents, x-rays, and images in the same step. Next, find the professional you'd like to refer your patient to in your easy-to-navigate directory. Hit send. It's that simple. And it's that secure. Referral information is sent instantly in an encrypted format, eliminating privacy concerns. That's it. The professional has been sent an email with associated files, and your patient receives a text message and/or email with the new professional's information. The convenience of the touch-activated phone number and website makes following up on referrals quick and easy for the patient. Using Refer.2 will transform and simplify the way you make and receive referrals. Finding the right professional to refer your patient to is simple, thanks to your easily customizable directory. This directory offers many search options, including the convenient Favorites feature that keeps your tried-and-true options at your fingertips. And we make inviting other professionals to Refer.2 simple, so your professional network is accessible to you as it grows. Refer.2 has two simple plans. The Light plan allows you to send referrals to other professionals. The Plus plan allows you to send referrals as well as receive them. Say goodbye to costly paper referral pads forever. Eliminate the cost of referral pads and the time needed to manage paper referrals. Making referrals has never been so simple, secure, and efficient. Refer.2 is the modern standard in dental referrals. Join today.